Hello, family. I go by M3, the modern day masculine man. Tonight, we're going to talk about mass shootings and white male masculinity and how fragile it is now. This is all my opinion, but it's based on things that you already know. Let's get into it, guys.
Modern day masculine man, take one.
What makes a modern day masculine man?
When you drink your liquor straight,
A modern day masculine man. I pay all the bills and I tells my woman the truth. Got my shit together, do what I wanna do, say what I wanna say. I won't bend, I won't break, you are not me and I am not you. I kept it real, so now I can do what I wanna do.
welcome to the Modern Masculine Man Podcast, Mitch. Woo!
So, family, tonight we're going to discuss a critical issue that's going on in America now, and it's been going on for a while. We just see it and we call it mass shootings now, but it's been happening. White males have been killing when their masculinity has been threatened since the beginning and the inception of America. Like I said, these are all my opinions, but there are three things that we're going to discuss tonight, and then I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to chime in. There are three things that are causing these mass shootings. Number one, white male masculinity, white male privilege, and brown people thriving. Again, white male masculinity, white privilege, and brown people thriving. Now, we all know that mass shootings, traditionally, we see that as a white male thing, a heterosexual white male thing. And these mass shooters are normally from the deep South or middle America, suburban America, places where white people aren't really that affluent, places where white males don't have the things that they feel like American society should have for them. Now, let me explain to you what I mean. American history, critical race theory, Black History Month, Gay Pride Month, these things in general are really creating and fostering an environment for white male masculinity to be fragile. Fragile. White males have typically been on the top of the totem pole. Now let's discuss four things that entail white male masculinity. Number one, viral. Viral means a strong sexual basically drive. Whenever whites would conquer, they would rape and pillage. They wanted to procreate. They wanted to show their strong sexual drive. They wanted to whitewash the places that they created. They wanted to be strong. Strong suggests a strong family, being strong physically, a strong name coming from a strong pedigree. I'm a Rothschild. I'm a Kennedy or whatever. And then powerful. That's having money and influence. White males are used to having money and influence. They've been taught that through society, through American history, through their family. They've been taught their ascribed place in society. And finally, aggressiveness. White males have been taught to be aggressive. When they don't get what they want, they become aggressive. They did it to their own people. Let's start with thinking about this. This white male masculinity is designed to do two things: take resources and maintain resources. That's what white male masculinity does. It's designed to take and maintain resources. Let's take, let's procreate, and let's maintain these resources. But guess what, family? Times have changed. I hate to say it, but someone didn't give the white man the memo. You don't have to be as mean and masculine. You don't have to look at virility, power, strength, and aggression as signs of masculinity anymore. Due to diversity, the women's feminist movement, the LGBTQIA+ movement, and just blacks thriving in general in capitalism, white males feel that they're losing. They feel like other races are capitalizing on the things that were meant for them. I was talking to some white friends, and I'm cool with white people, and I believe that whites and blacks should be able to have discussions like this where we can talk openly. This is nothing against white men. I have nothing against white males. I have something against the shooters, and I want to discuss this so we can explain why this continues to happen. I was talking to some white friends, and one of them made a joke. He said, MAGA. I said, yeah, make America great again. He said, no, that's not what it stands for. I said, what it stands for? He said, you don't tell nobody. You don't know. I said, what? He said MAGA stood for men above girls again. And when I laughed, he said, guess what else it stands for? I said, what? He said, men above gays again. White males feel that white women and the homosexual community are tying their hands. They can't go rob, steal, pillage, and conquer like they normally do because of the Me Too movement. People are politically correct. White men are used to taking and kicking butt and taking names. They used to kicking butt and taking names. And now someone is holding them saying accountable. Why are you so mean? Why do you take so much? See, it was okay when white males were simply oppressing African Americans and brown people. But the feminist movement has showed that white women feel oppressed by white men. And white masculinity is fragile right now and is being threatened because white men feel that white women have turned their backs on them. White men felt that during the Jim Crow era and slavery, when they were raping slaves and making babies with slaves, they felt like the slaves were nursing the white woman's babies. When they were hanging blacks and having picnic, white women were on the postcards. So the white man is like, why y'all abandoning me now? We already took this country. We're doing what it takes to maintain this country. Why do you guys want us to ease up? Why do you guys want us to be nice to everyone? And the thing that he hates more than anything is homosexuality, because that's a direct threat to white male masculinity, because we need white babies. We'll talk about Roe versus Wade later. White masculinity is fragile. They want to take back the ability to be white men. They want to talk around the water cooler. They want to grab them by the coochie. They want to do what they want to do. They want to smack the waitress on the booty and say, hey, sweetie, bring me another round of scotch. That's what they're used to. And they hate that they can't do it. And they don't know how to deal with their emotions. As we said, they're strong and aggressive and powerful. So when their feelings were hurt and things didn't go their way, they automatically picked up their guns and responded to aggression. But now they have to deal with their sadness, their shame, their guilt, their frailty. They have to deal with their anger. And more than anything, their youth have to deal with being bullied. Bullied. Can you believe that? Bullied. Every time we have a white shooter, they say, oh, he was bullied. He was a loner. He was ostracized. He was treated bad. Almost as if they're trying to create empathy and a narrative for the shooter. And every time that they feel like they're losing ground in society, they pick a group to blame. At one time, it was the blacks. Then they blamed the Jews, the Irish, and Italians. And now they're blaming all immigrants and members of the LGBTQIA community, as if someone is taking an opportunity from these poor, lower class, Southern middle Americans who are poorly educated, who really don't have what it takes to thrive in society and be what they normally were. White male masculinity, it's fragile and it's being threatened. And when white male masculinity is threatened, they blame. And when they blame, they attack. And why do they feel the privilege to attack? Let's go into my next thing. Number one, we just discussed white male masculinity. Excuse me. Now we're about to discuss white privilege. Why do they feel privileged to pick up their guns and attack? Honestly, I understand it. I understand it. They created what was called the Declaration of Independence. This is when white men in America decided to tell their own mother country, England, we won't pay taxes, we won't give you anything, and we will fight you. You come across that pond, we will fight you and die for the right to do things the way white men want to do it. The Declaration of Independence was them saying, as white men, we don't want to negotiate. We've changed our mind and we'll get it in blood. The Bill of Rights, that's for them. All of our, the Constitution, that's for them. They see that as a white declaration, a white Bill of Rights, and a white Constitution, all signed by white males, and they feel that this is a white nation for white heterosexual men. Therefore, the biggest slice of the pie belongs to them. They have been taught via their family and via history that white men have robbed, killed, steal, destroyed, and dominated to maintain the power, their virility, and their strength and their aggressiveness. These people are not mentally ill. These people are not mentally ill. They are upset and feel justified in their actions because they were born white. They feel justified as a white man who's used to dealing with pain, hurt, sadness, frustration with aggression. Tell you a quick story. I never forget my grandfather told me a story about a mule that his father had. And he was one of the first black men in the town with a mule. And a white man, the Ku Klux came and killed his mule. And my grandfather, he went outside and he was just so upset. And he said, "Why did you kill my mule?" And the white man said, "Well, every white man in the town don't have a mule. And we just don't think it looked right for a black man to have a mule before every white man has a mule." Privilege. How did this black man get a mule before every white man get a mule? Have you ever heard of Sunday car? Your Sunday car? I remember my granddaddy got a Cadillac when I was a little boy, and he said, "This is my Sunday car." I said, "Granddaddy, why you only driving on Sunday?" He said, "Well, if I drive this new pretty Cadillac to work, the white man will think I'm doing well and possibly fire me from my job." So black people traditionally didn't drive our new cars to work. We hid it. We hid it. We didn't want to know them to know we were doing well. It happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So many places, Wilmington, North Carolina, black Wall Streets, black towns, thriving. What did white men do? Blame their inability to make it in America on black people and bomb these towns. Mass murder happened in Rosewood, happened in so many places. They feel like they should have this piece of the pie because when this country was created, we were considered slaves. We were 3/5 of a man. It took 15 black men to make 5 black men. And those still weren't equal to a white man. They are not mentally ill. They feel justified. They feel something is being taken from them. Seeing others thrive make them feel wrong. These attacks are often against non-whites, meaning browns, and homosexuals. White supremacists, they say it all the time. They hate the N-word, Jews, and homosexuals. They make it clear. The N-word, Jews, and homosexuals. These people feel privileged. We took this country from the Native Americans, and then we fought our own mother country to maintain it. Now it's ours. And we've written it through a Declaration of Independence, through a Bill of Rights, through a Constitution, through amendments, white privilege. Think about it. The First and the Second Amendment, number one, you have the right to freedom of speech. I'm a white man. I can say anything I want to say. And the Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. I'm a white man. I can say anything I want to say. And if you disagree with me, I'll pull my pistol out on you. I'll pull my rifle out on you. I'll pull my gun out on you. This is what they're used to. There was a study by Dr. Joy LaRue that says that I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm just stating it, that slavery is still in the DNA of the former slaves. Well, if that's the case, tyranny and dictatorship is still in the DNA of the descendants of the slave masters. They believe this is privilege. I'm a white man. I should be on top. My identity is being questioned. Why am I not thriving in America? Not considering that you're in Southern, poor, uneducated, middle class, lower middle class, suburban America. You're blaming Africans, Indians, Asians for taking businesses that you would not even engage in. A lot of Africans and Indians come to America and become doctors. A lot of people become lawyers. A lot of people will become Asians, get into food and cleaners and beauty supply stores and nail salons, and Arabs get into different things. These are things that these poor white middle Americans, Southern Americans would never have access to, but they blame their lack of having on others. That's that white's privilege. Their identity is in question, and their gun is what helps them regain a feeling and sense of control. I'm white. I can say what I want to say. I don't want to be bullied. I don't like how that feels. I'll get my gun and regain my power because I'm privileged. Not only should I not suffer, not only should I not be in a lower socioeconomic class, I shouldn't even be teased. I shouldn't be ridiculed. Don't say anything about me, because if you do, I will grab my gun, because that's what white male masculinity is. And if I can't fight and defend myself, if I'm not popular, if I'm not smart, if I'm not an athlete, if I'm not in a band, if I can't do anything in the school, if I can't do anything in life to make myself feel strong, white masculinity, if I can't do anything to make myself feel white privilege, guess what I'll do? I feel so privileged that I'll kill behind my feelings being hurt. I will kill. My feelings are more important than brown lives. They're more important than homosexual lives. They're more important than anyone that I feel is infringing on my white privilege. Third, number one, white male masculinity is being threatened. The world doesn't need him to be angry and mean and take and rob, kill, and steal. Feminism and the LGBTQ community has called him to the mat. Stop oppressing people. No one cared when he was oppressing brown people. But when white women and homosexuals felt oppressed, now he can't do like he want to do. And he's angry, and he's willing to take it out on anyone. And American history and American society has showed him his ascribed place in society. See, when blacks get bullied, when brown people get bullied, or we're treated unfairly, we just expect it. Through American history, CRT, Black History Month, we expect to be second-class citizens. We know we have to work 10 times as hard to get half as what they have. So when somebody teases us about our clothes or shoes because we're weird or we're a loner, we know how to process and deal with those feelings. We don't turn to masculinity and pick up a gun to reclaim our privilege. Number three, brown people thriving. They're just not used to seeing this. They're just not used to seeing this. Back in the day when they went to school and learned about Black History Month and critical race theory, they said, well, as far as I know, I don't see any blacks. I don't see any browns above me on the totem pole, because we didn't have social media. We didn't have TikTok. We didn't have Facebook. Social media has brought the world so much closer that they see brown people thriving and they feel like they're losing. They feel like they're losing. They can't imagine brown people setting the trends and the fads. They're used to us appropriating them, us want to assimilate into American society, us want to move in their neighborhoods, us want to do our hair like them, us wanting to a lot of foreigners come here and they adopt American names. They're used to us assimilating, wanting to be like them. They are not used to looking up at TikTok and seeing Black people thriving, Asians thriving, other races leading the way, setting the trends for culture. They're not used to this. They can't take it. Their predecessors didn't used to see Black people thrive. And like I said earlier, when they did, they burned the towns down. They killed my great-grandfather's mule. We hid our cars. We hid our successes from them because we knew that that white privilege and jealousy would lead them to rage. Poor white, deep Southern, middle-class Americans watching other races thrive with the advent of STEM and technology, social media influences, cryptocurrency, NFTs. There are so many ways for the underprivileged, disadvantaged, disenfranchised people to make money. And these people are not taking advantage of it, and they're blaming. They see browns leading the fads and cultural trends. They feel unpopular. They feel unwanted by girls. Think about it. We've discussed earlier viral, their virility. Imagine a young white boy in school, unpopular, teased, ridiculed, bullied. No girls like him. And to see those girls like brown-skinned males, that does something to his psyche. It makes him angry. It makes him say, why? And then he realizes the prototype for white male masculinity is virility, being viral. Well, girls don't like me. It's being strong. When I'm weak, I'm teased. It's being aggressive. I'm afraid. I'm weird. I'm a loner. And it's being powerful. I'm from a poor family who has nothing. And he wake up one day and he realized the principles of white male masculinity. I am not that. I am not that. I don't receive and reap the benefits of white privilege. I am not that. And whose fault is it? It's brown people's fault. It's homosexuals' fault. It's transgenders' fault. It's everybody's fault but mine. And I can't do anything about it but pick up a gun and kill in mass numbers. They know they don't have what it takes to thrive. They know they don't have what it takes to thrive. They know they'll be cast out and looked down upon by their own people. They're not representative of white male masculinity. They're not representative of white privilege. They regain their masculinity through picking up a gun. And they say it, I hate these people. I hate these people. I hate these people. And I have the right to speak on my hate and spew my hate. And my Second Amendment right is the right to bear arms. So anybody that disagrees with me, I'm willing to regain my white privilege and white masculinity by participating in school shootings and mass shootings. And not only do they regain their sense of masculinity and privilege, they become infamous. They become infamous. And I believe that's why the police don't necessarily kill school shooters or mass shootings. I believe the police know this is good for media. It's a good story to talk to little Billy 2 years later. Why did you go in that church and kill those people? Why did you do that? Why are you so hateful? I believe they're directed not to kill these people. We all know innocent black males can get shot without a gun. And these guys somehow are bought in after killing people. Now, before I open the mic up for the crowd, I want to discuss 3 things that they say are the reasons for mass shootings. And one of them is not we need more gun control. Number 1, social media and the internet. I'm going to say this in layman terms. Basically, the higher ups are saying weirdos have found a place where they can gather and trade hate stories, where they can gather and trade stories of how their white male masculinity has been questioned, where they can gather and trade stories and discuss how they're not reaping the benefits of white privilege. These people can trade ideas on how to make bombs. What's their plans for school shootings? These people have a safe haven. And I get it. I get it. It's no different than obese people, for example. Obese people were customarily teased and ridiculed. And now obese people have gotten together in a collective via the internet and social media and have pushed the narrative that being obese doesn't mean you're unhealthy, that being obese shouldn't be shamed. And I agree with it. Being obese shouldn't be shamed, but being obese is not healthy. So when you get this group think, the kids that set off in school, when I was in school, we called them the gothic kids, the kids that wore black every day and had their fingernails painted. They were weird. They were loners. And those were the ones that we were always afraid would do something. Now imagine all of these kids got a group of 1,000 of them together. I get it. The internet and social media has made it to where these children, as I said earlier, white privilege, they get to see Sweet 16 birthday parties. They get to see rappers thriving, athletes thriving, regular black people thriving, regular black people putting out content on social media, getting famous, getting rich, setting trends, changing their culture, not having to assimilate. They see this. I get it. But guess what? The internet's here for everyone. White females aren't doing mass shootings and school shootings because of the internet. Black males and black females aren't doing it. Other races aren't doing it because of the internet. Why is it that we will give these people an excuse? Number 2, video games, shooting games, first-person shooting games. The higher ups say that the advent of excuse me, I might have to have a libation on that one. Like we said, we drink our liquor straight. We pay all the bills and we tell our woman the truth. You don't see other races doing that. First-person shooting games. Studies show that in North Korea and Japan, they play those games more than anyone. You can play first-person shooting games all you want to. But how do these kids get these weapons of mass destruction? These rifles, these AKs, these AR, these automatic handguns? How does playing a video game get this weapon in your hand and have you in the school shooting? I understand video games, first-person video games, shooter games can excite and a fascination and affection for guns in a young mind. I get it. It can cause one to want to shoot these guns. It can cause one to be desensitized to violence. But it doesn't put a gun in their hand. We've seen countless time after time, these school shooters are being given guns by their parents who have spewed hatred and bigotry in front of their children. These children believe that their parents somehow can't provide for them because of other brown people. These children somehow feel like, hey, we're white. Why aren't we on top? We learned that white men took this country. We learned that white men fought its mother nation for this country. We learned that white men oppressed, depressed, Jim Crow, robbed, killed, and destroyed. Why is my mother working at the chicken factory? Why is my father cropping tobacco? Why don't my parents have the ability to provide for me the life that I've been taught that's my ascribed life in American society? I'm a white male and I should have this simply because I was born white. These children are getting these weapons from their parents. First-person shooter games. And guess what? Black kids play them. Latino kids play them. Asian kids play them. It's always an excuse other than white male masculinity, white male privilege, and then seeing brown folks thrive. Third, it bugs me more than anything that they always spew mental health issues. None of these shooters are actually diagnosed with mental health issues by a qualified mental health professional. That's always the narrative. No one says Jaquan sold crack or Jaquan shot up the neighborhood because he suffered from mental health issues. No one has empathy for the child that sold crack because he grew up in an impoverished neighborhood and his mom was a drug addict and he had to feed 2 siblings. No one has empathy for that. But there's always this narrative push. He was bullied. He was quiet. He was a loner. He never did anything like this before. As I was doing research, you go check it out. I was watching. Most of these kids have did things showing that they're about to snap. Uvalde, Texas, the shooter actually was called into administration the day before, the day of the shooting. The shooter was called in with administration and his parents. And because of white privilege, they didn't call the school resource officer in. And then the kid was sent back to class and went on a wild killing spree. Mental health issues? No, emotional issues. I cannot cope and comprehend and deal with the fact that I am considered a non-masculine white male. I cannot deal with the fact that I am not reaping the benefits of white privilege. I cannot deal with the fact that I am watching brown people thrive and I believe that they are taking from me. Mental health issues. He lost a family member. He was abused. A black male can be killed and the news media will list past crimes that he's been convicted of. Javon Clark was shot in the parking lot of such and such. He has a criminal record. Mass shooter, school shooter. The privilege of the white male media doesn't want to say what it is. You are not mentally ill when you can write a manifesto explaining who you hate, why you hate them, and what you're going to do. You are not mentally ill as you complete this heinous act and are prosecuted and checked out by mental health professionals, you're not mentally ill. What's wrong with American society where they just can't say what it is? These people are terrorists. They are terrorists. See, terror is associated with a political or religious view. Let me show you how white male masculinity works and white privilege work. To be considered a terrorist, the first thing they say is, what is his political or religious views? Because in America, as I said, a white nation founded by white men for white men are typically Christian, and their political views are conservative Republicans. So they say a white male can't be a terrorist because he's a Christian and he's conservative. He can't be a terrorist. He can't be doing this for a political or religious view because he has the political and religious view of us. Don't call him a terrorist. Anytime a person of color, a brown person, commits something like this, oh, he's a terrorist. It happened in Florida. I believe he was a Latino. Orlando, Florida. Check me on this if I'm wrong. He shot up a gay club, killed 48 people, and they called him a terrorist because his political views, he was against homosexuality. They shoot up abortion clinics. They bomb abortion clinics. They do anything when these three things occur. White male masculinity is threatened. The white man is used to kicking butt, taking names, killing, stealing, and destroying at his own discretion. And now his own female counterpart, the white woman, has turned against him. I have several white friends that would joke about they were nervous that some girl they had sex with at a frat party in college would come back and bite them in the butt. Nervous, shaking in their boots. They don't know how to deal with their emotions. When their emotions are threatened, they kill mules. They bomb towns. They shoot up schools. They shoot up federal buildings. I'm M3, the Modern Masculine Man. I'm going to leave put this link up and make it so that anybody who wants to possibly come in and speak on this subject can come in. I ask that we refrain from the cursing because we're trying to be politically correct, and we're more than anything, we're trying to grow this new channel. I ask that you share this channel on all your social media platforms for me. This is the link right here. Modern Masculine Man. If anybody's on the live that would just like to come in and give their take or give their opinion or possibly challenge what I'm saying, come on in. We're going to start Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're going to be talking about current topics in the world, but more than anything, we're going to be talking about modern male masculinity. See, part of modern male masculinity is being able to cope and deal with your feelings. And these white males have been dealing with their feelings the same way since the beginning of time. Pick your gun up. Pick your gun up. I call it, it's like a John Wayne complex. It's the Wild Wild West. He called me a liar. I shot him. He disrespected me. I shot him. He don't look like me. I'll take from him. Right now, I'm looking at the box, and I'm going to leave it open again. Like I said, we want possibly somebody to come in and give their take on it. We're just growing the channel, so if nobody comes in, then we're going to get up out of here. More than anything, guys, We want the world to understand that this is an American problem created by Americans. It's an American problem created by Americans, the American education system. Let me explain something to you real quick before I get out of here. Black History Month, I'll never forget. I had a friend, white friend. We grew up together. Our moms were best friends. We slept together. We peed in the bed together. When we entered kindergarten, first year, 1st February, Black History Month. We hadn't been exposed to American history yet. Black History Month. We watched a movie called Little Boy King. Little boy king, keep your dream in your heart. And at the end of that movie, after seeing how Black people were treated, I looked at my white friend and I almost growled at him. And he looked at me and he almost had tears in his eyes as if he wanted to say, Javon, that's not me. I'm not my ancestors. We're best friends. But I just could not quell the rage I felt. And they taught us this in school. And I believe that's the purpose of Black History Month, is to caveat this discussion to every American child. We want you to know white folks robbed, killed, and steal for this country. And we oppress Black folks. And Blacks were on the bottom and whites were on the top. And it lets us know as children. And it also gives white people the opportunity to explain it to their children in their own way if they want to teach hate. Mom, I was at school today. We learned about Black History Month. We did Black people bad. Well, child, this is what we do to stay on top. And then they start spewing that hatred and racism in their children. And to finish up on the story, I never forget, after we saw Little Boy King, when we got to the playground, me and my friend began to play on the swings like we normally did. And I began to push him real high like I normally did. And in my heart, he was yelling and screaming happy because he thought nothing was wrong because we were playing like we normally did. And when I got him to the highest height that I can get him, I physically pushed him out of the swing. And my young 5-year-old mind, not realizing that I could have killed him, and he fell and he hit his head. And he bled on the sand. And he was knocked out for a minute. And by the time the ambulance and the administration got there and he woke up, they asked him what happened. A teacher had witnessed the incident. She said, Javon pushed him out the swing. He said, no, he didn't. I was having fun. I jumped out of the swing. I was so happy that I wasn't going to get in trouble. My friend looked at me and he winked, as if to say to me, I am not my ancestors. I am not my ancestors. Man, white male privilege, white male masculinity, and them seeing us thrive is the reason for these school shootings. Until we stop teaching history from that aspect, until we stop teaching our ascribed place in society, we're going to have more white male shootings because these southern suburbs and these suburbs in middle America are not keeping up with the times. But they are on social media. So they will continue to see white male masculinity become more and more fragile. They will continue to see and feel as if they're losing white privilege, and they will continue to see brown people thrive. Hey guys, I'm the modern masculine man, and that's my take. It's my opinion, but we already know it's based on what you.
Modern day masculine man, take one.
What makes a modern day masculine man? When you drink your liquor straight, a modern day masculine man. pay all the bills, and I tells my woman the truth. Got my shit together, do what I wanna do, say what I wanna say. I won't break, you are not me, and I am not you. I kept it real, so now I can do what I wanna do. Modern masculine man. Welcome to Man School.
Welcome to the Modern Masculine Man Podcast, Mitch.
Before we get out of here, fam, we just want to let you know how you can contribute to this movement. If you want to see more of this content, I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff in Man School. This is not just a page for males. It's not just a page for females. It's not just a page or a podcast for Black people. If you want to contribute, you can PayPal us at J Clark Products. You can Zelle us at 919-292-5374. And you can send us a cash app at The Master Teacher. You also can super chat live. Some things that we're going to have coming up. We're going to be talking about co-parenting, how to reunite fathers and mothers. And I'm going to do a series on Man School. What are the codes and ethics of masculinity in this new day? And with all these school shootings going on, we know we need, as masculine men, to be able to cope and deal with our emotions. I thank you. Signing off, I'm the Modern Masculine Man. Y'all have a wonderful night.